Commander Zix Thara of the Hegemony Third Fleet studied the tactical display with growing confusion. Sol 3, the planet the inhabitants called Earth, hung before his flagship like a blue jewel, utterly defenseless. No orbital defense platforms, no shield generators, no massive fleet formations, just a handful of primitive spacecraft that barely qualified as interplanetary, let alone interstellar. Fleet Intelligence Officer Kethmol, Zix Thara called, his forearms gesturing at the readings. Confirmed these sensor data. This cannot be accurate. Kethmol's cybernetic implants flickered as he interfaced directly with the ship's computers. Data confirmed, Commander. Sol 3 shows minimal military infrastructure. Population approximately 8 billion. Technological level roughly equivalent to what we achieved 12,000 years ago. By all metrics, this should be the easiest conquest in hegemony history. The hegemony had been expanding for millennia, absorbing worlds and species with mechanical efficiency. Earth's discovery 3 months ago had generated tremendous excitement among the conquest fleets. Here was a garden world, rich in resources and inhabited by a species that hadn't even mastered faster than light travel. It should have been invaded within days. Instead, the conquest order had been delayed, then postponed, then quietly shelved. Sir, Navigation Specialist Kethra interrupted. We're receiving a priority communication from High Command. Admiral Vextar wishes to speak with you directly. The holographic projection of Admiral Vextar materialized above the command platform, her scarred carapace bearing the marks of 100 victorious campaigns. But her expression was troubled in a way that made Zix Thara's warrior instincts activate. Commander Zix Thara, the Admiral began, you are to abort the Earth reconnaissance mission immediately and return to hegemony space. Admiral, with respect, our intelligence suggests this world could be conquered with a single battle group. The inhabitants don't even have antimatter weapons. Vextar's mandibles clicked in what Zix Thara recognized as barely controlled anxiety. Commander, have you consulted the Galactic Conquest Archives before making that assessment? Archives? Admiral, we've conquered 200 worlds without consulting historical. Check the archives, Vextar commanded. Search for any reference to humans, Earth, or Sol 3. Report back to me in 1 hour. The Admiral's projection vanished, leaving Zix Thara staring at his confused bridge crew. He'd never seen Vextar show anything resembling fear, but there had been something in her tone that suggested deep instinctual terror. The Galactic Conquest Archives contained the military histories of every spacefaring species in known space. Kethmol connected to the vast database and began searching for references to humans. What he found made his biometrics spike into combat alert ranges. Commander, Kethmol said quietly, you need to see this. The first entry was from the Korthak Empire, dated 237 years ago. Attempted subjugation of human colony on Kepler 442b. Initial assault successful. Human counterattack involves systematic hunting of Korthak officers using improvised weapons and psychological warfare. Survivors report humans displaying unprecedented adaptability and creativity in combat methodologies. Recommend avoiding future contact. The second entry came from the Silicon Confederacy. Humans encountered during territorial dispute. Initially dismissed due to primitive technology. Warning: humans demonstrate alarming tendency to weaponize literally everything. Observed instances include converting mining equipment into orbital bombardment systems, using medical nanobots as biological weapons, and somehow turning their own spacecraft debris into guided projectiles. Advise extreme caution. Entry after entry painted the same picture. The crystalline dominion, humans display unnatural persistence. Continue fighting long after logical species would surrender. The Void Seekers, human tactical unpredictability, makes traditional military planning impossible. The Xenarch Collective recommend classification of humans as apex predator species, despite technological limitations. But it was the final entry that made Zixthera's blood run cold. It came from the archives of the extinct Meraki Empire, a civilization that had once controlled half the galaxy. Final entry: human diplomatic vessel responded to our territorial claim with single message: you have 1 day to withdraw. Dismissed as bluff due to technological disparity. 26 hours later, our entire fleet had been disabled, using weapons we didn't know humans possessed. Home system under siege by forces that appeared from nowhere. They have turned our own gravity generators against us. How did they even know how to do that? We were so much more advanced than them. We were so much more. The entry ended abruptly. The Meraki Empire had vanished from the galaxy shortly afterward, their vast fleets found drifting empty in space, their worlds abandoned but strangely undamaged. "Sir," Kethra said, her voice barely above a whisper, "I'm detecting something else. The other reconnaissance fleets that were assigned to observe Earth, they're all returning to base. All of them." Zixthera pulled up the strategic display and watched as red icons representing dozens of hegemony fleets began withdrawing from human space. Every major power in the galaxy was quietly, simultaneously, deciding that Earth wasn't worth the risk. "But they're so primitive," Kethmore protested, looking at the peaceful blue world. "Look at them, they still use chemical rockets. They fight each other with projectile weapons. Half their planet doesn't even have reliable energy infrastructure." "Read more entries," Zixthera ordered grimly. The archives revealed the truth in fragments. Humans didn't just fight, they evolved. Every conflict with them resulted in humanity emerging stronger, smarter, more dangerous. They reverse-engineered alien technology with frightening speed, adapted enemy strategies, and somehow turned every disadvantage into a weapon. The Zealot Brotherhood had attacked a human research station and found themselves fighting scientists who had weaponized their own laboratory experiments in real time. The Draconic Hegemony had tried to conquer human trade routes and discovered that human merchant vessels carried enough hidden firepower to challenge military cruisers. Most disturbing of all were the reports of humans who had been captured, studied, and then escaped. Without exception, they returned to human space with detailed intelligence about their captors' weaknesses, technological specifications, and tactical doctrines. It was as if they allowed themselves to be captured just to gather information. "Sir," Kethra reported, "Admiral Vextar is requesting your status." Zixthera looked one final time at the blue world that had somehow earned the terrified respect of every military power in the galaxy. Earth appeared defenseless because it didn't need defenses. Its population was its weapon. "Tell the Admiral we're withdrawing immediately," he ordered. "And add a note to our own archives. Humans are to be classified as a quarantine species. Under no circumstances should any hegemony vessel engage in hostile action against human interests." As the Third Fleet turned away from Sol, Zixthera reflected on a disturbing realization. Every species in the galaxy had reached the same conclusion independently. Humans weren't defended because they didn't need to be. They were the defense. Earth wasn't a world to be conquered. It was a warning, and the galaxy had learned to listen.